The desert heat shimmered on the cracked asphalt, blurring the horizon into a mirage of nothingness. Darius Thomas, once a rising tech visionary, now driving a dented sedan with a broken AC, didn't expect his day to spiral into a collision with destiny. He only pulled over because his tire had shredded itself on the jagged edge of poverty, a fitting metaphor for the rest of his life. As he knelt beside the car, sweat soaking his cheap suit, the last thing he expected was the sudden knock on the trunk from the inside. 3 black SUVs screamed onto the road like a fleet of wolves, tires grinding gravel. Darius stood, face calm but heart pounding. 3 men in dark suits got out, eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses. "You seen a blonde woman around here?" the tallest asked, his voice flat, threatening. "I'm just changing a tire, sir. Haven't seen a soul out here all day," Darius replied evenly, both hands visible. The man's gaze roved over the interior of the vehicle, lingering on the cracked dashboard, the stack of eviction letters on the passenger seat. After a tense moment, the men left, their engines fading into the distance. The trunk lid creaked open from within. A woman climbed out, blonde hair matted with sweat and mud, eyes blazing with adrenaline. Her clothes, expensive athletic gear, now caked with dirt, spoke of wealth, but her trembling voice told a different story. "Thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't helped me." Darius blinked. "Who are you?" She held out her hand, breath shallow. "Alexandra Winters, but call me Alex." The name hit him like a slap. Winters, as in Richard Winters, as in Winters Enterprise, as in the same corporate hydra that devoured his company, Tech Vision, and left him in financial ruin. "Darius Thomas," he said cautiously, shaking her hand. "Why is your father's private security chasing you like a fugitive?" Alex reached into her jacket and pulled out a small object, a flash drive. It gleamed in the sun like the tip of a blade. "Because I stole this." What followed were words that burned through his brain. Tax fraud, bribery, sabotage, digital attacks ordered by Richard Winters himself. She was the heiress to a criminal empire, and she had just handed him the match to burn it all down. Then his phone vibrated. Stolen vehicle alert. "He's flagged us. He wants to make us disappear," Darius muttered, showing her the alert. "We need to get off the road now," Alex whispered. "I know a way," he said, sliding into the driver's seat. As dusk fell, the worn sedan veered off the highway and onto a narrow dirt trail, disappearing into the skeletal trees of an abandoned forest path. 15 minutes of silence, bumps, and paranoia later, they arrived at a dilapidated wooden cabin, half forgotten, swallowed by time. "My father bought this decades ago. He never developed it. He probably forgot it even exists," Alex murmured. Inside, Darius plugged the flash drive into his old laptop. Files unfolded like confessions, shell companies, offshore accounts, falsified audits, court bribes, and one file that made Darius go still. "This is an internal memo detailing how they took down Tech Vision," he said, voice cracking. Alex turned away, her face twisted in shame. "I didn't know, I swear." Darius closed the laptop slowly. "We can't do this alone." "Who then?" "Someone who once believed in me when no one else did." Maya Rivera, 42, with steel in her spine and justice in her blood, opened the door to her modest 6th-floor law office. Her eyes widened when she saw Darius. "I thought you disappeared." He said, "I was erased. Now I'm coming back." They laid the evidence before her like a treasure map to corruption. Maya stared at it, then at Alex. "You understand what you're doing, right? Your father doesn't just have money. He owns judges, police, agencies." "Then we build an army of our own," Darius said. And they did. Zoe Chun, a cybersecurity legend known in the deep web as Spectra, joined their team. With Maya's legal prowess, Zoe's tech genius, Darius's strategic mind, and Alex's insider knowledge, they became a weaponized force of truth. They found proof of digital manipulations, tampering in court records, and a systematic pattern of destroying minority-owned startups. "We need him to make a public statement," Darius said, "and we need to hijack it." Alex smirked. "I know the perfect moment. He's announcing the Garner Technologies acquisition in 3 days. The whole world will be watching." Darius raised an eyebrow. "Then let them watch." On the day of the conference, Richard Winters stood at the podium, smiling like a king with a new kingdom. "This acquisition represents the future," he declared. And then every phone in the room vibrated. A link. The real Winters enterprise. Confusion, murmurs. Then the screens around the auditorium flickered. Emails, bank transfers, audio recordings, and finally, a video. Alex, sitting calmly, speaking directly into the camera. "My name is Alexandra Winters. I am the daughter of Richard Winters, and I am here today to expose the crimes committed by my father's corporation." Reporters gasped. Richard turned white. He shouted to shut off the screens, but it was too late. Agents appeared at the doors. Maya stepped forward. "Richard Winters, you are under arrest for tax evasion, bribery, corporate sabotage, and conspiracy." Richard thrashed, "You traitor!" Darius stepped forward. "No, she made a choice. We all did. The difference is, we chose justice." The empire collapsed like a tower of cards. The headlines roared. "The Fall of Winters. Corporate tyrant taken down by own daughter." 3 years later, the skyline had changed. On the rooftop of a new building, Horizon Technologies glowed like a beacon. Darius stood beside Alex, watching the sun fall across a different world. "Do you ever think about that day?" she asked. "The trunk, the fear, the beginning?" "Every day," he said. She smiled. "You saved me. You saved me back." Now their foundation funded startups led by people once ignored. Their model had been copied across the country. Darius was no longer an outsider. He was a trailblazer. And Alex, the girl who once hid in a trunk to escape her father's shadow, now led the most impactful reparations initiative in corporate America. As the lights twinkled across the city, Darius spoke. "This wasn't revenge, it was restoration." Alex nodded, "and it started with a flat tire." The revolution didn't come with fire and blood. It came with truth, with courage, with a choice. And that's the true power of justice, not in the fall of the corrupt, but in the rise of those they tried to silence. Because the future belongs to those who refuse to be erased. The next morning, as the city awoke to a new headline, "First round of Horizon-backed startups launched nationwide," Darius entered a press room filled with young journalists, aspiring founders, and policy leaders. Behind him, a massive digital board listed the names of all funded ventures, each one led by a woman, a person of color, an immigrant, or someone long excluded from opportunity. Darius adjusted the mic. "This isn't about me. It's about every person who was told they were too small, too different, too invisible. We're not just investing in businesses, we're investing in fairness." Alex stood at the side, watching him. She'd seen him at his lowest, and now, standing in the spotlight, he wasn't just a leader, he was a builder of futures. Hours later, in a distant prison, Richard Winters sat in the folding chair during group therapy. He didn't speak. He never did. But every time someone said the name Horizon, his hands clenched tighter. The world had moved on, and he, once untouchable, had become a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Darius and Alex, Maya and Zoe continued their work. From state legislatures to Ivy League halls, their model was studied, replicated, debated. And late at night, when the city lights reflected in the glass of Horizon's main office, Darius often found himself staring at the skyline, still carrying the memory of a broken-down car, a trunk full of secrets, and a choice that changed everything. Because revolution isn't always loud. Sometimes it starts with a whisper of truth and ends with a new world built from the wreckage of the old.